Finally finishing up some of these projects, put my tools up. It's a good feeling, knowing that I'm getting stuff done and getting to use my tools. Oh, hey guys, welcome back to the Hands-On channel. I didn't see you come in there. Pull up a chair, I want to talk to you about something. For I guess quite a while, I've been thinking about this video, and I think there's no more perfect time than right now as we approach 2025 to approach this topic. I'm going to try to stay out of the politics as best as I possibly can, but quite frankly, some of this stuff is political, and so we will be discussing, not in great detail, but some of the fallout that I've personally experienced being a YouTube creator. So the question I pose is, should you start a YouTube channel in 2025? And I'm going to tell you right up front, that depends. That depends on a lot of different things. And I've written down some pros and cons that we're going to go through, like little bullet points, and I'm going to try to expound upon each one of those and give you my personal experience. But we're going to try to run through this as quickly as possible, because I'll tell you, if you're going to do something like this, it's a pretty big risk, okay? It's a pretty big risk. Chances are nothing bad will happen, but some bad things can happen, like cyber stalking and other things like that. And I haven't personally experienced that, at least to my knowledge. Not yet. I hope I never do. But there are people like that out there that want to try to take advantage of every situation. So, I mean, there's all sorts of stuff, whether that's stealing your identity, online identity, like, whatever, going and starting other accounts on other platforms with your name, or starting a name here on this channel that's very close to yours. I mean, there aren't a lot of protections for creators. So I wanted to talk to you guys about some of the pros and cons, and maybe give you something to think about whether or not you want to be a YouTube creator or not. So let's get into the pros first. So obviously it can be fun and it can be rewarding, and it can be rewarding in a multitude of different ways. I don't just mean monetarily. It can also be rewarding just, physically and spiritually, or mentally, I guess is maybe the best way to put it. Because, I get people all the time on my older how-to and DIY videos that come in, maybe it's a water heater repair and they're lost and they don't know what to do. They come to my video, they come down in the comments and they're like, hey, I did the thing that you did and it got my water heater working. That'll at least get me through the weekend until, so it's rewarding in that way. My wife reminded me of one. There was I assume an elderly lady that came onto one of my comments where I was working on my riding lawnmower. After I got it, I was showing like basic maintenance, lawnmower blades. I don't remember what it was. I did a whole series of videos on that mower, working on it and stuff. And anyway, one of those videos, what I presume was an elderly woman, came in and was saying that basically her husband had passed, like a year or so earlier, and she was having to maintain the lawnmower. And man, it just warmed my heart. She thanked me. I could tell it was a genuine thank you for my video, and it made me feel really good. So it's not just monetarily rewarding. There are other ways to be rewarded here on the YouTube platform. If you like doing good stuff for other people, I think you're going to be a good fit for like how-to DIYs, mechanical related stuff, things like that. And for the most part, those won't get you in too much trouble. We'll talk later on about the videos that will get you in trouble. But that's some of the pros. It can be rewarding and fun, okay? Just when I first started out, I just was really fascinated by the whole process. I've always had the gray man mentality and kind of just, laid low and kept low. But again, you have to be willing to take risks. You have to be willing to take the risk of success or failure. It's sort of the same thing as, starting your own business or something like that. So moving on. Another pro about starting a YouTube channel is you can connect with distant family and friends. So, we all get busy. A lot of us don't have time, with the hustle and bustle of just trying to make it and stuff, and trying to keep your life going, keep all these plates up in the air. We all get feeling that way sometimes, and it can be overwhelming. And then something else happens, at least for me, and you can let me know in the comments if you guys experience this as well. If you go a long enough time without calling someone, it sort of feels awkward to call them. I don't know why. It's just like, it's something about it. It makes you feel guilty for a while, and then when you're like, you keep putting it off, you keep putting it off. We all get busy. But with YouTube, that's a way that you can connect with those people. You know, if you want to, you can send them your channel and say, hey, I made a YouTube channel. This is what I'm up to. If you're interested. If they're not interested, that's cool too. Maybe you're talking about things that are repulsive to them and they're not going to be that interested in that, and that's fine. But it's a great way to connect with distant family and friends. And so that's fun. It can also be a little awkward too. I'll warn you of that, even though we're still in the pros. But it can be a little awkward when you make a video that's maybe a little edgy, or maybe it's a little outside of your normal character or whatever. Even not that. Maybe you're just being genuinely yourself, but it's a side of yourself that you normally hide from everyone else, and you let that out online. Well, guess what? If you've given all your stuff out, your channel page, to all your relatives and friends, then they're all going to know that thing. So it's just one of those deals that, you know, you might want to consider that before you immediately go out and tell everybody to watch your channel. You know, figure it out first, get your feet underneath you, decide what kind of content you're going to create, and certain kinds of content that are, you know, pretty innocuous and non-offensive, you can send that to everyone. But if you're ever going to, you know, veer out of that lane, then you need to maybe not send that to them, because it can be a little weird. Thanksgiving dinner can be awkward if you're on one side of the political aisle and they're on the other side, and you've basically, or the way I've done it, I've basically said pretty much everything that I believe politically and stuff like that, and the way I think the country is going wrong and things in certain areas. And so they know they have me at a disadvantage because they've already heard pretty much everything I think, so they could come at me with some argument and try to penetrate my defenses, right? So anyway, just keep that in mind. You know, the third pro is you can make money. At least for me, personally speaking, it's not a great amount of money, but it's enough that I'm intrigued enough that I continue to go, you know, and also it funds some of my other projects, you know, like I've actually been recently shopping for a drone. Although don't get too excited, because I thought I'd just be able to put drone videos out there. But no, there's some federal regulation that you're not allowed to have a drone and make money monetarily on a video with that drone. So, I mean, you know, you get into some sticky stuff with things like that. But, you know, a lot of these more successful channels, you see them doing constant drone shots and things like that. So I'm considering all of those options, but that's one way. And maybe you don't do any drone shots or any drone work. There's ways you can manipulate and move the camera and have multiple cameras to keep the thing entertaining, whatever you're trying to do. So there is money in it. You know, again, are you going to get rich? Well, that depends. You know, it's sort of the same thing as the entertainment industry in a way. If you're willing to sell your soul and sell out on your morals and be a degenerate scumbag and do it with a video camera on you, or you're willing to go get people and catch them in their most vulnerable moments at a public place like Walmart and go up and prank them and things like that, or you're one of these video game streamers, and I do not get that. You know, all the way back to what was that guy's name? PewDiePie or whatever. That's the first one I ever heard of. The guy's still out there. The guy's a multi-millionaire, from my understanding, doing video game streams or whatever. And I'm like, what in the hell? Kudos to him. I'm not criticizing him for doing that. I'm saying, man, if I'd have known it was that easy, I'd have done some stupid shit like that and made little dumb comments. Oops, I cussed. Sorry. But anyway, yeah, there's money in it if you want it, you know, and depending on what you want to do, what direction you go, how much interest there is in a certain topic that you're discussing, you can make a lot of money potentially. And again, it also has to do with how much you kowtow to YouTube's censorship rules that are always evolving and changing. They're not really evolving. That's from their perspective, they're evolving, but from my perspective, it's eroding my rights to be able to speak freely. And that does create we'll get into that more in the cons section, but that does create a situation where it's hard to be comfortable and relaxed in front of a camera when you're sitting there trying to edit every word that you're saying, when you're talking about certain topics and discussions that are basically the one that shall not be named, that kind of a deal. So anyway, there's another part of it. There's the rewards of knowledge sharing, just in general. I kind of already discussed that elderly lady that I helped, and other people with their water heaters. And I mean, I've got over 500 videos. I don't know exactly the number, but I've done over 500 videos in about, what has it been, like 5 or 6 years? And you can look at my subscribers, and really, in my opinion, I should have way more subscribers, but I started talking about the thing that shall not be named, and I got heavily shadow banned, and so far, YouTube has not lifted their boot off my throat. So it's been a real struggle since about 2020. Yeah, when the censorship came on full blast. So that's been troubling, but I just continue on. You know, I'm not gonna let them make me give up for that reason. But we'll discuss more of that in the cons section. So there is a reward in knowledge sharing. It just makes you feel good. It warms your heart to know that you're helping with people, you know, whatever it is you're an expert at or a pro at or you're really good at, you know. I mean, go out there and try to concentrate on that sort of stuff. And that's what I've tried to do. The things that I'm interested in are a pretty wide spectrum. You know, I love motorcycles. I love, you know, dirt bikes. I love Harley Davidsons. I love Kawasaki street bikes. I love, you know, shooting guns. I love, you know, all the great stuff. Going out in my canoe. I love fishing. You know, you name it. I've got a lot of different hobbies, and I try to share some of that stuff some of the time. I'm not real consistent, so that may be one of my mistakes in the way that I've built my channel. Maybe I should have broken the channel up into multiple different channels, but I just didn't want to have the hassle of dealing with that. I figure this is the way I look at it. You know, my mama told me, like Waterboy, that you're supposed to be yourself, okay? And this is me, guys. I'm not some actor. This is reality TV. This is real reality TV, not some stupid show where everything is scripted, right? This is me with all my faults and, you know, and whatever good things that I have to bring to the table. And it's going to be the same with you. So again, it's a big risk. And we'll get into the rejection and some of the other stuff that's going to come up that you're going to have to learn to deal with. But there's also positive commenters. I mean, I've had some of the best discussions that I've had in the last 20 years in my comment sections, okay? And sometimes it's not even people that agree with me. When someone is respectful and can come in there and offer an argument or a pathway that I haven't considered, I love that, okay? I love that. I am not like the people on the opposite side that want to suppress their free speech, their ability to say the things. I want to know what these people are thinking and why they think that way. But they've left the freaking country as far as I can tell. They don't want to have discussions anymore. But again, coming back, I'm not going to go political. Not yet. Another pro is, in my opinion, it's a lot of fun learning about cameras and gear and equipment and lighting and audio. And you know, right now I'm shooting on a Lumix G5. It's not the newest camera. Hell, it's like 5 or 6 years old at least. But it works great. It records my videos. I get a good enough picture. It has 4K, but I never use 4K. If I was going to do action shots and like action sports and those kinds of things, and maybe on some of my motorcycle rides and stuff, maybe 4K would be better. But, you know, to me, 1080p for a talking head video is fine. So it just depends on the types of videos you're doing, on what your settings are or what you need them to be set at. But man, when I tried to do a 4K video a couple of times, my computer sounded like it was about to melt down. So apparently I don't have a strong enough, stout enough PC to handle 4K video. And so maybe in the future I will, but I like to have the option to go up to that, you know, and you can always downgrade it to like 1080p or whatever if you want when you're processing and editing the video. But yeah, I think that's a lot of fun. I'm using a wireless mic. I can't remember the name of it. Comica. I've got a Comica wireless mic, so there's no secrets here. Maybe one day I'll do a video on gear if this video gets some traction. So success when a video breaks through the algorithm. It feels like you're 10 feet tall. It feels great. My most popular video of all time, and the video, you know, if I was all about money, this is probably what I would do all the time. I've noticed something about YouTube. I'm going to give you at least one of my observations. Maybe it's died off here in the past few years, but I don't think so. chainsaw videos. I don't know what it is about chainsaw videos, whether you're repairing them or whether you're using them or reviewing them or any of that sort of stuff. They're very popular. And again, I don't know, my video got cut off a moment ago. They said my memory card wasn't inserted correctly, so I had to reinsert that. But I think on my first take, I was talking about how I was watching Wrangler Star years ago, and that was one of the people that inspired me to become a creator, because I was like, hey, this guy seems like a regular guy. If he can do it, I can do it too, you know. And you know, when I'm subscribing to a channel, usually if I hit subscribe, it's because that person is a person that I could see myself hanging out with, being friends with. I could, you know, they would help me, I would help them, and that sort of thing. Maybe they're like-minded, maybe they're preppers, maybe they're not 100% like-minded, but they're like-minded enough that we could get along, right? And that's usually the channels that I subscribe to. But anyway, that's my list of the pros, and I'm sure there's a lot more things we could discuss, but you know, I don't want the video to take 2 hours to make here, so, because that's a lot of editing. We're going to talk about that when we get into the cons right now. The cons of being a YouTube creator. Well, it takes a lot of time to create decent content, and it takes even more time to create good content. And if you're going to create superb or great content or epic content, it's probably going to take you a whole lot of time. I mean, more, 3-4 times more than you think, just in editing. Now, I can't recall what the name of the program I use. It's a free software. I can't recall. I can see the icon, but I can't recall the name of it. But there's free editing software out there available for you. But I'm sure if you get the more premium stuff, you could probably you could streamline the process. And I'm sure there are faster programs than the one that I'm using. It's just the one that I'm comfortable with. So you know, you're going to have to edit. That's where probably you're going to spend the vast majority of your time. If you make a 30-minute video, at least, for me, at least 2 hours probably of editing, and maybe more, depending on the type of content. If I'm doing like a newscaster style video where I have to put a whole lot of headlines in and different things like that, little graphics that come up, that takes even longer, because then you have to go harvest all those things, grab screenshots, whatever, and put those up. And you know, some people are even way more sophisticated than I am, and they figured out how to play a video over here while they're doing the talking head thing. I don't know how to do that because it's a little bland and boring when it's just a stationary headline. The main reason that I do videos that way is because I want to make sure people know about whatever it is that I'm concerned about that day, and also I want them to be able to link to that article and go read it for themselves, because I think knowledge is power, and you should look at all that stuff, even the people, even what your perceived enemies are saying, and maybe even especially you should know what they're talking about and what they're up to. So it takes a lot of time. Be prepared for that. Also, you know, just coming up with the content, coming up with an idea. There have been times that I've hit a wall and I'm just, you know, writer's block or creator's block, whatever you want to call it, where you hit this wall and you just don't feel very creative, or you're so worn out from work and from doing projects around your house and homesteading and keeping up with your animals and mowing your yard and doing taxes and all the crap you got to do that you just don't have time for it. And that happens too. And, you know, also you got to remember, you know, if you're married, you got to spend time on that relationship with your wife. So you can't let any of this stuff rule you. And that's why you don't see me putting videos out every day. I don't know how these people do it. Put videos out every single day. I can understand if you live streamed every day, because that's unscripted, unedited. Well, I don't want to say unscripted. It's unedited anyway, for the most part, at least the live streams I've seen. So anyway, another con you may want to seriously discuss is feelings of failure and rejection when a video doesn't hit. I'm going to tell you right now, that's a common feeling, and you better get used to it, especially if you're new. Don't expect to put out a video and go super viral on your first 10 videos or your first 100 videos even, unless you're doing crazy, degenerate stuff that's promoted on YouTube. And I don't recommend that, because again, that's a type of selling your soul. And you know, I've seen other things, just real quickly, I want to discuss this. I've seen other things where homestead videos where they always show the wife in, what do they call those? Spandex pants or whatever they're called that are so popular now. And, and she's kind of, sticking her derriere out there a little bit to get a little extra traction on those views. And if you look down through there at those thumbnails, I mean, I personally wouldn't do that and wouldn't allow that. I think, again, that's selling a part of yourself that you, in my opinion, it's not right to do that. But a lot of people do it, even on homesteading videos. And I'm just like, okay, I see what you're all about. Every single thumbnail you put up, your wife is in a suggestive pose or something like that, and I don't know. It's kind of weird and a little creepy to me to get views that way. So I personally would not stoop to those levels. But I have noticed that when I put a mushroom cloud and I'm talking about nuclear war or nuclear survival or anything like that, or, one of my most popular prepping videos was the food supply chain is collapsing or breaking or something like that. And it was one of the biggest hits in I don't know, I had like 20 or 30,000 views on that video in 24 hours. And to me, that was amazing because I usually don't get that kind of traction. So somehow that one broke through the algorithm. I assume it's because it had a catchy, flashy, concerning headline. And there are a lot of people out there that they sell fear porn 100% of the time. And some of you like that stuff. I can't help it. There's times I tune into it as well. When I see something that's a flashy headline, it's got a nuclear mushroom cloud, and it's got Putin's head on one side and Biden's wrinkled head on the other, and whatever. There's times that I click on those videos as well. I fall for the clickbait too. I get it. But I try personally not to do that. I don't want to overdo it. Let's put it that way. I'm not going to say I never do it. I may clickbait this video to try to get YouTube views because you got to do something to get through the damned algorithm, especially if you're being shadow banned. So you're going to have that happen. You're going to have to be able to deal emotionally with these feelings of failure and rejection because they're quite common, okay? And if you're not good at dealing with that sort of thing, you probably shouldn't start a YouTube channel because you're gonna deal with it, at least for a period. And you will get over it most likely. I did. I kept going. I got over it. It's because of the positive commenters and the other people that are telling you, hey, I like your video, or hey, I subscribed, or whatever. That makes a big difference in your motivation to continue on. So a lot of that is going to be determinant on your individual experiences and what topics you're discussing. So I wish I could just tell you yes or no, but I can't do that. So the next con, and this is a big one, rude and disrespectful commenters. I don't care if you put out the perfect video, shot at the perfect angles, with the perfect lighting, everything perfect, and you're a perfect person, and every way you present your words are completely clearly enunciated. You never say the wrong word at the right time, whatever, right? You get what I'm saying, just like I just did there. You're going to be criticized because there are critics galore, and they are rude and disrespectful. It's not about someone coming in and saying, like, for example, I do a video, that chainsaw video, my most popular video, the only video I've ever had break 1 million views. That video, I still to this day get people coming in. They've watched, I don't know, half the video, and they're like, oh, you didn't even do nothing. All you did was put gas in it and it started right up. I'm like, did you not watch the video? I did all kinds of stuff. I pulled the spark plug out. Oh, one of the things I did was because I was working on this for a friend of mine and he didn't want to spend any money on it, is I took the spark plug out and I took it over to the wire wheel and I cleaned it up, which I have done that thousands of times in my life as a mechanic, okay? It's not the best thing to do. No, is it the best? No. But it's what you do to get the damn thing done. And I went over there and did it, and I showed that on the camera, and I put a little never sees on there. So by me cleaning that spark plug on the wire wheel, you wouldn't believe the amount of criticism I got. Of course, what you have to realize is every comment helps you break through the algorithm. So the more comments, positive or negative, that's where the old saying is no publicity is bad publicity comes to mind. Okay, so you may experience that, and I got lots of comments. Maybe that's why I got 1 million views on that video. People criticize me putting never sees on the spark plug. I mean, you just wouldn't believe it. And you can't internalize and let that stuff eat you up. You have to, for one, I'm almost 49 years old, so I'm pretty well established in my ways. I know what kind of mechanical abilities I have. I'm willing to admit where I fall short and places that I should, like if it comes to an automatic transmission or something like that, I'm taking that to someone else to have them work on that. But anything else I can work on. And, I've learned a lot of different things along the way that have helped me expand my knowledge base. Now I can frame walls. Now I can build buildings. Now I can do plumbing. Now I can, on and on and on. There's a lot of overlap in that sort of stuff. But, I'm a jack of all trades, maybe a master of none. Maybe that's the best way to say it, because I don't focus on any one thing all the time. But that's me being myself. So anyway, be prepared for rude, disrespectful commenters and critics galore, because they're going to come out of the woodworks no matter how great of a job you do or how good of a video you do. There's something about you they're not going to like. And you just have to accept that. That's the way life is. I've worked with people like that throughout my careers and stuff, and it always happens. There's always somebody in there that either they rub you or you rub them the wrong way, or both. So another thing my wife brought up, because I asked her about it too, because I think it's important if you're married, you're definitely going to want to have your wife's consent on this sort of deal, and what you show and who you show. Some people are very uncomfortable being on camera. My wife is one of those people. In fact, quite a lot of people are uncomfortable being on camera. So if you're going to be like that, all of us are that way at first to a degree. But you should start getting easier and easier for you as you go on. It's sort of like the first time you heard your voice on a answering machine tape or something like that, right? You're like, that doesn't sound like, that's not what I sound like, right? But then, so there's some of that. And one of my buddies, I was trying to get him to come on my video, and I was like, hey man, would you be interested in being in a video? He was like, oh, I can't stand the sound of my voice. I sound like a hick, or blah, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, people like that stuff because they're from somewhere else where people, they don't speak with that dialect or whatever you'd say, that southern drawl, right? And so anyway, I mean, I gave you a great example of that. Chad over there at the 3 of 7 project. Man, that's a dude I'd like to hang out with. And I could probably talk to him for 6 or 8 hours straight, whether we had beer or not. We could just sit there and drink iced tea or soda pop or something, or water. And you could just tell it would be entertaining as hell to hang out with that dude and pick his brain and see what he's thinking about XYZ, right? Check him out if you don't know who I'm talking about. But the guy's got a southern drawl, and I think that's what draws a lot of people in, that, they're not used to hearing that and they like it. So anyway, don't be yourself like your mama taught you. Don't be worried about that stuff, and, don't be overly self-conscious, or else you're going to have a hard time on YouTube. Next up, privacy concerns. My wife brought this one up. Maybe I already mentioned that, but I got sidetracked. So privacy concerns. I am willing to be a lot more open about my location, even my name, probably. But these are things that I don't personally tell, because I don't want identity theft to happen, or somebody to, be able to come knocking on my door at weird hours of the night or anytime. I don't want strangers showing up to my property, so I keep my identity undisclosed location and my, where I am, all that stuff. So anyway, my wife is more worried about it than I am, because she, probably for good reason. She was talking about AI and how basically those new Google glasses, or what, maybe they're not Google, but those new smart glasses that they have. We watched a video where these people are walking down the street and they can just look at you like this quick. And those glasses capture an image of you. They can get a screenshot off those glasses, whatever the glasses see. It's like a camera, right? Apparently a fairly high quality camera. And then in the background, if they want to know about you, they can have AI running like a database, and who, where you showed up on Facebook. Well, if you're on Facebook, now they can, if you've got your real name on there, now they can track you to your real name and pictures that you have on Facebook through that AI. Now they can walk up to you when you're sitting on a park bench or waiting in line somewhere and be like, oh, hey, Jay, I hadn't seen you in years. Oh, I remember that party we went to? And they'll know something about you that, you know, would put you in a certain location, maybe based on Facebook. And they can use that to manipulate you, to put your guard down, to make you think, oh, I know this person. Maybe then they pull out a butcher knife and stab you 14 times in the chest, and steal your wallet or whatever, or, you know, whatever it may be. They're using that to put you at a disadvantage. And I kind of said that earlier. I'm always a little bit of at a disadvantage because I say a lot of stuff. I can't remember every single thing I've ever said on here. I remember topics and I remember my main arguments on those things. But anyway, moving on. It's a big deal. Privacy concerns. You're going to have to discuss that with your partner and find out what they think about it. You know, are they going to want to be on camera? Do they want your house on camera? You know, and you're going to have to be cautious about it. I advise proceed with caution. Undisclosed location is probably, and name is probably the best way to go. Just to be safe, man, because there's weirdos out there. So anyway, one of the other cons is also one of the pros I mentioned earlier. The setting up the cameras, the lighting, and the audio can be daunting and challenging, especially until you get good at it and you have a routine going. Once you have a routine, it's not so bad, but even then you're dealing with electronical stuff, so anything can happen, man. Your memory card might not work and you may lose some of your data, whatever. It can happen, and it bums you out when it happens, but you just have to, you know, pull yourself up by the bootstraps and move on. So anyway, next one here. This is a big one. I have been targeted by triggered radical leftists and Marxists and communists. Okay, a while back, I don't remember if it was my anti-communist video or one of my do not comply COVID videos that I was doing. I don't remember what it was, but somebody came in and targeted my channel, and they went to all of my videos and started flagging them with YouTube and getting my videos removed. Some of them, you know, not all of them, but some of them did get removed. YouTube pulled them out. And it's one of those things that if someone targets you like that, it can be a real bad deal. And I'm not saying you should watch. I mean, you got to still be yourself and just go with the flow, I guess. But it does lead to censorship. And that's a big, big problem here on YouTube. Censorship of classical liberal, Republican, and libertarian opinions and views, while YouTube promotes the opposite views. So let me say that again. They censor classical liberal, Republican, and libertarian opinions and views, while YouTube promotes the opposite views. And so you may want to let that sink in a little bit before you go out and thinking you're going to make it as a, you know, right-leaning, even if you're just barely right of center. If you're going to talk about politics, YouTube will probably shadow ban you at very least. They may kick you off the platform altogether if you violate enough of their rules. And so I don't know what to tell you there. Maybe Rumble might be a safer place. I'm sure it is. If you're going to do a 100% political channel, at least start out over there and then maybe migrate to YouTube with some of your more milquetoast stuff, your lighter weight stuff. But if you're going to do anything heavy here on YouTube, where you're talking about politics that are right-leaning even a little bit, then you're probably going to face censorship, more so than the other side. And then here's one of the problems. When you are censored, often you aren't given a clear reason why you were censored. It's a gray area, and I don't like that. I don't like that at all. And it makes you scratch your head. You're going, wait a minute, what did I say in that video that got me censored? I'm not quite sure. YouTube says this thing over here, but it's so generic that I can't pinpoint anything that I said in particular that would have got me flagged, but it happens. And I've been banned, shadow banned. I've had 2 strikes was the most I ever had. Now I'm back down to just a warning or whatever. So I don't know. They'll make you take some, you know, they don't make you, but you can take a re-education class through YouTube where you answer these basic multiple choice questions, and then they will reduce some of your fines, and you may not make you sit in the dunce corner for as long. So anyway, I want to finish up here. with some questions here that I just thought of that I think a lot of new creators may have. So why do some channels make it and others fail? Well, we've touched on some of that stuff. In my opinion, YouTube tends to promote left of center ideology, and if it's degenerate, hedonistic, anti-American traditions, anti-American in general, anti-liberty, anti-freedom, anti-capitalism, let's see, what else? Lots of other stuff like that. If it's that, most likely you're going to do really well on YouTube because they promote that kind of stuff. You don't even have to be a very good debater or speaker or anything like that. Exhibit A, this person they call Destiny, okay? This person does mental gymnastics over and over and over to avoid and deny the reality that is right in front of his face. Yeah, that's right, his. If you don't know this person, Destiny, you know, it's not just a stripper name from the 90s. It's a person's YouTube name that is actually a male, and I do not recommend that channel, but, you know, you can go do your own research if you want. But again, millions and millions of views because YouTube promotes and supports those sorts of views, okay? If you don't believe me, go spend a little time on the YouTube trending page. And you got to spend more than one day and just look at the stuff that they put on the trending page. Maybe, I haven't looked in a while, maybe it's died down, but it used to really heavily promote alphabet agenda, if you know what I'm talking about. I don't want to say it or this video will get banned. So non-traditional sexual preferences, let's just put it that way. They really promote that. So, you know, and anything else like that, that if you're deemed one of the people that are in the oppressed category in any way, race, sex, gender, any of that sort of stuff, you're going to have a much easier time because, you know, they had to apply DEI practices here at YouTube as well. So they have a much easier time. And the people that have none of that stuff going on, they're not considered one of the oppressed groups. They're going to have a much harder time. So just keep that in your mind before you make videos. Should you discuss political topics? Well, that's up to you. If you want to get rich on YouTube and your whole motivation is making money, then no, you probably shouldn't unless you're promoting left of center ideology or Marxism, communism, socialism. Any of those sorts of things are totally fine. But traditional American classical values based on the Constitution, not good in the eyes of YouTube. So how do you get on the YouTube trending page anyway? Well, I've already kind of mentioned that. If you're in one of these special groups, then you're going to have a much easier time getting promoted on the trending page. And it's a, what would you say? It's a avalanche effect, right? So as the snowball starts falling, it's small at first, but once they put you on trending, then that takes off and it gets really big, and people are made. It's a make it or break it situation on trending. And most people that get put on there gain a lot of people. So YouTube has this way between shadow banning and promoting their own ideology that they have created a situation that is not pleasant. So I don't know. I've never been on the trending page. I've never had a trending video. And again, if you're going to have a trending video, you're probably not shooting how-tos and DIYs. It's most likely going to be something sensational, over the top, out of control, extremely adolescent, extremely dangerous. Those sorts of things get, you know, promoted on YouTube. I remember, wasn't it one on YouTube here, the Tide Pod Challenge? I mean, things like that where these kids start these trends and stuff. Those are the things that tend to go viral and, you know, basically the worst of humanity. Imagine that. So if you can capture, or you are one of the worst of humanity, you may be able to go ahead and make videos, and YouTube will probably put you right on the trending page, and you'll probably be the next PewDiePie millionaire or one of these others, right? So moving on. Is YouTube and Google a toxic work environment? I think we've already answered those questions. You know, it depends on your perspective, where you are on the line. If you're right of center, then yeah, it's a toxic work environment. If you're left of center, it's wonderful. You've got safe spaces. You can say and do whatever you want. You can go into other people's channels and willy-nilly flag them for no reason other than you disagree with their opinion and you do not want to hear their opinion. And YouTube will gladly ban you. So watch out, guys. And yeah, it did get political, more so than I intended. But watch out if you're going to do this. It's a big risk. There are privacy concerns. You're going to be criticized, but there's a lot of potential for good too. So it's just like anything else. It's just like every job you've had. It's just like everything else. Is it a toxic work environment? Yes. But every job I've ever had is also a toxic work environment. In some cases, literally toxic, where we were breathing toxic fumes and stuff. But I had to do that to make money. So whether or not you should start a YouTube video or a YouTube channel or not is up to you 100%. But I hope I've given you something here to think about. Let me know if there are any concerns, pros or cons that I missed here, any questions you guys have. I'll try to answer them. I've been creating for about 6 years or so now, but I'm not going to pretend that I have this thing figured out, because otherwise, I'd have 100,000 subscribers and I'd be doing better here on the platform. My videos would be getting more traction. But to say I have it figured out, I don't. I think I know how to get there, but at this point, being so shadow banned, I'd probably have to completely abandon this channel and start something different. And again, use some of those left of center ideologies if I was all about money. So, and I don't think that's going to change just because the, president is fixing to change. That's not going to change. So anyway, guys, I love getting your feedback. So let me know what you think about this down in the comments. If you liked it, hit the thumbs up. If you didn't like it, hit the thumbs down. Appreciate you tuning in.